Eloc Fenrir, a Star Wars one-shot by CommanderNeyo. We've been stuck on K-Lee for about 45 rotations now. Imperial troops refuse to surrender their position, despite being surrounded on all sides. Don't they realize they've lost? These days, the Empire is on the run. We took Coruscant not too long ago, and ever since we've been pushing them back. When will they realize that they've lost? I've been watching the imps for a while now. We've dug fortifications around them so they aren't going anywhere. I got the lookout post colloquially named Vornsker Point. Normally, snipers are here picking off straggling imps, but the rain has made it difficult to shoot. Either that, or command has gotten merciful.
Hey, Eloc, your shift's up.
I turn around and see the sergeant, Sergeant Yavug, standing right behind me. His beard was turning grayer and grayer by the day. Underneath his helmet, you could see hair that at one point was as brown as mine, but it's decayed over the years, turning white as time has gone by. He had been fighting with the Republic all the way back to the early days of the Alliance. His tall stature has been whittled away little by little as the years drag on. Roger that, Sarge. Didn't see any movement up there. Any word on what the imps are planning?
No definitive word, but Brass thinks they will try to evac their positions with whatever space-worthy ships they've still got up there.
After what Grey Squadron did to them, I'm surprised they even have any ships at all.
That makes two of us. Now head back and get some food. Heard it's still warm.
I took his advice and headed back to the support area. Men were huddled around personal heaters as it had gotten a little cold with the rain. The rain made walking around our trenches difficult. What were at one point decent floors suddenly turned into muddy messes where one was lucky not to get stuck. I looked at my boots and sure enough, I could see more mud than boot. As I got closer to the mess area, I could hear our artillery more clearly. Multiple MPTLs opened up on the Imperial fortifications. The sound of rockets leaving their tubes no longer surprised me. I heard them enough during the campaign on Dantooine that they've become almost friendly. A warm glow came out of the mess hall behind the tarp that we used as a makeshift door. I lifted the tarp above my head and walked in. The smell of Nerf nuggets and buckwheat noodles filled the room. May not be home quality, but it sure beats the rations they gave us yesterday. I walked into the line, got a serving of the stuff, and moved to an empty table. As I sat down, I unbuckled my helmet and placed it next to me. I pulled out a small mirror I kept with me. It was handy on Alzok 3. Staring back at me was a reflection of a changed man. As I matted down my long brown hair, I could see the bags under my eyes. They were about as large as a bantha, probably even bigger. My white skin was caked with dirt and mud. I've come a long way for some kid from Ukyo. I sat there quietly eating, enjoying the meal and the quiet and safety of a warm mess hall. I'd been in the line for a day now. After I ate and brought my dishes over to the service droid, I picked up my pack, poncho, rifle, and helmet. I held my helmet for a second. Its green had partially faded over the years, but it still had some of the markings I'd etched down there with my vibro knife. I lifted it to my head and soon was rebuckling it. Once it was on, I headed back to my dugout. It continued to rain, with drops falling off the trees and onto my poncho. Standing at the entrance to my dugout, I could already feel myself getting tired. My eyes drooped harder than I think they ever have. Must be the food combining with fatigue. I slid off my poncho, unbuckled my helmet, and set my pack and blaster aside, and fell harder than a meteor on my bunk. Rolling over, I looked at the light and quickly fell asleep. I awoke with a jerk. That's not a normal noise. Okay, that definitely isn't normal. I reached for my flashlight only to see a glowing red visor staring at me from across the room. What in the name of the Force is that? The visor continued toward me. As it got close, it activated an electro staff. Sneakily, I pulled the vibro knife I kept in my boot and held it. The person walked closer and closer. It appeared to be wearing stormtrooper armor, but it was unlike any I've ever seen. I let it walk over to me. It took a stance that left a large section of armor open. Before it could bring down its electrostaff, I flew from my bed and shoved the knife into his body. As he recoiled, I grabbed the pistol that sat nearby and emptied 2 shots into it. It fell with a thud on the floor. Before I could think, I heard the proximity alarm go off. Like a gun dart out of hell, I jumped out of bed, threw on my boots, grabbed my poncho, helmet, and blaster, and moved to the door. As I peered around the corner, I slapped a fresh cartridge into my rifle. One of the squads on watch came running down the trench. I stepped out of my dugout and yelled at the sergeant. "What in blazes is going on?" "Imperial troops infiltrated the trenches. Some kind of new trooper variant we've never seen before. Come with us. We just got word that there's another one over by the sergeant's dugout."